Hi, and welcome to another one of my cooking exploits. Today we're going to make German pancakes. The first thing, let's look at our ingredients. First things first, we have 200 grams of flour, we have 200 milliliters of milk, 100 grams sugar, and another 150 milliliters of sparkling water. Yes, I know for you American watchers, I will be translating all of this into your strange measurements. We have a little bit of vanilla aroma because it's really hard to come by vanilla sugar here. I make it myself, but I'm going to use vanilla aroma here because that's more common. 3 eggs, and we need a whisk. And then of course we also need a ladle, a spatula, cooking oil, and a pan. Not to forget the pan, the pancakes. So if you look at a German recipe, the funny thing is that everybody has a different take on how to mix the ingredients together. It's the same with the recipe. Every second household has a different recipe for it. This is my recipe. And what I've noticed is if you have a decent whisk and you're willing to stir, it doesn't matter how you throw things together. So I'm usually starting with the eggs, and I crack the eggs in there. Let's do that real quick here. Bam. Number 1. Two. And number 3. By the way, these things, they aren't, in Germany we don't call them pancakes. Well, in some regions they do, which would be, in German, it would be Pfannkuchen. In English, or in my region where I'm from, we call them egg cakes, which, Eierkuchen. Eierkuchen. We make Eierkuchen today. Sugar, milk, and water, and a dash of vanilla aroma. And off we go with the stirring. And break the egg yolks first, so that you can mix everything nicely together. Oh, the water, the sparkling water, on a side note, the sparkling water is for the dough to raise. You know, like you use for normal pancakes, you use baking soda or baking powder, and I'm using the sparkling water for it. Here we go. There are still some really tiny clumps in there, but honestly they don't really matter because you don't notice them once you bake them out. But you can of course keep stirring until they're gone. Not really an issue though. Okay. Perfect. And now we heat up the pan, and I move you guys over to the oven, to stove, that's the word. Put some oil in the pan. Not too little, not too much. Put the pan on. I'm usually putting this pan on roughly 6, but it depends a lot how big your pan is, how strong your oven is, so you have to mess around with that. You don't want it too hot because then they get dark before they're actually set, and you don't want them too low because then they just never get any color and get really crummy hard. Let's move our ladle and our spatula over here and the dough over here, and then I'm going to show you a little bit trying to throw those things around. Let's see if the camera catches that, I don't know. And on a side note, there are so much better tutorials on YouTube about how to learn to throw your pancakes around, but I'm doing my best. I'm going to do my best. So I took a quick moment because you didn't need to sit here and wait until the oil is hot. But look at that, so that's hot now. Just spread it out a little bit in the pan. And then you take a ladleful of your dough and just drop it in. The really annoying thing about this stove is it's not even, so everything ends up in this side of the pan. So I'm always having to like loop it up a little bit and just make sure it stays even. And now we let it set. That's going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn you guys off. I'm going to turn you back on when we're there. So let's talk about throwing these things around. When you do that, the first thing you want to make sure, like this, it sticks actually. Not a good idea to throw something around that sticks. So make sure that this thing actually moves in your pan. Next thing is shake it all wet. Just make sure it's all good. And then you want it in the front of your pan. Because what you're doing is this motion. You're going to lift it up and pull the pan back. So basically, the pancake is going to lift out of it, and when you pull it back, you're flipping it around with the edge of the pan. Okay? Let's see if we can manage that, or if I'm just pretending. Okay, so put it over there, and then lift it and throw it around. That wasn't great, but it worked. The other thing is, be careful when you have a lot of oil in your pan. That is always a recipe for disaster if you're going to throw these things around. The other side doesn't need as much, because in the end we're going to roll those suckers. So we just want to make sure that all the dough is really set on the other side. Make sure to press them down a little bit when you have big air bubbles underneath. Yes, this looks good. Very good. Anyway, then we need a plate, which I'm not having prepared. And you just drop the whole thing on the plate. Throw another ladle full of your dough in the pan. We let that do its thing, and I'll show you how those pancakes are actually made, like what we do with them. Let me see if you guys can actually see that. Not really. Let me turn the camera a little bit. Just take the sucker and turn it over. I love to eat them with just jelly or something. So take a knife. And just put a spread of jelly from left to right in the middle. Right? Because like I said, we're rolling them, which means you get jelly anyway, everywhere. Everywhere, anyway, everywhere. Awesome. At some point I will prove to you guys that I'm actually speaking English. Not well, but I do. Now we take this whole thing and just roll it. And there you go. And that's the way we serve them. Now I'll show you also how we eat them. And hi, this is me, by the way. This is my pancake, and this is how we eat it. Wunderbar!